The extinction of moa. Found on the South and North Islands of New Zealand, the evolutionary history and relationship between the moa species has long been a subject of scientific debate, with past studies suggesting that up to 64 species existed with as many as 20 generic groups. Yet, after 170 years of controversy, research in 2009 identifies 9 species with 3 genera and 6 species in the Emidae family, 2 Dinornis species in the Dinornithidae family, and 1 Megalopteridae species. Because moas are a group of flightless birds with no vestiges of wing bones, questions have been raised as to how they arrived in New Zealand, and from where. There are many theories about the moa's arrival and propagation on New Zealand, but the most recent theory suggests that the moas were part of the ratite group, which is a basal lineage of birds that are hypothesized to have had a common ancestor 80 million years ago during the Cretaceous period in the southern supercontinent of Gondwana. When New Zealand broke away from Gondwana, at least 60 million years ago, it took away with it the basal ratite species, which later evolved into a great variety of moa species. The Oligocene drowning about 22 million years ago, when only 18% of present-day New Zealand was above sea level, is very important in the moa dispersion. Because present moas only broke up from the basal moa species Megalopteryx about 5.8 million years ago, as many scientists now believe, it is argued that the moa lineages could not have been present on both the South and North Islands. This does not imply that moa were absent from one island, but that only those from the South Island survived during the Oligocene drowning, since only the South Island was above sea level. Then, the moa ancestors surviving on the South Island crossed over to the North Island about 2 million years later, when geological events and sea level changes created periodical land bridges. Apart from this periodic bridging, the highly complex structure of the moa lineage was also influenced by the formation of the Southern Alps about 6 million years ago, and the habitat fragmentation on both islands resulting from Pleistocene glacial cycles, volcanism, and landscape changes. The elimination of the moa by the Polynesians was the fastest recorded megafaunal extinction, matched only by the predictions of the Blitzkrieg model for North America late Pleistocene extinctions. Shortly after the Maori arrived in New Zealand, sometime before AD 1300, all moa genera were soon driven to extinction by hunting and, to a lesser extent, forest clearance. New Zealand moas evolved in isolation over millions of years. Unlike elsewhere, there were no land mammals such as bears, badgers, lions, or goats. Free from attack and competition from mammals, many birds became ground dwellers. They were therefore vulnerable to land clearance and became natural prey for humans and the predators they brought, such as rats and dogs. Recent research using carbon-14 dating from middens strongly suggests that it only took less than 100 years for moas to become extinct, rather than the several hundred years of exploration which had been earlier believed. By about AD 1400, most all moa are generally thought to have become extinct, along with the haast eagle, which had relied on them for food. A recent research suggests that slow growth also doomed the moa to extinction. Unlike the bones of all modern birds, several moa bones show growth marks similar to the ring found on tree stumps, said Samuel Turvey, an ecologist at the Zoological Society of London in the UK. According to Turvey, the rings indicate that moas took several years to grow to their full size, while all modern birds, by contrast, are fully grown within a year of hatching. This explanation for this low growth also lies in the moa's isolated living environments. As it is pointed out by Turvey, in environments where mammal predators are present, there is strong pressure to mature quickly. But moas lived on the isolated islands of New Zealand without any mammals, which meant no selective pressure for fast-growing moa.